size smaller. This is from Hedgehog Fiber, and I'm going to hold it with the mohair over here. Hello, this is Victoria from Luna Honey Knits. Today I want to talk something about first of all, finished object. I have two finished objects. I have two work in progress and also some spinning fiber as an acquisition. So let's start with the finished object. So last episode I talked about how I knitted the Fortune sweater. So this is the original one. I know the neckline is gone. So I knit this with one strand of New Tiden yarn in the color Quimt, which is a gray color with a little bit of copper on it. However, that one strand of New Tiden yarn I think is a little too soft and delicate. So after 1 to 2 wear of the sweater, I can start seeing felting on the armpit area. And also I knitted a double knitted collar, and the whole thing is just not too balanced. Like the collar is very thick and chunky, and then the rest of the sweater is very flowy. I don't know, it's just like I know this wear wouldn't last. I will show you some of the felting. So I don't know, can you see it? Like it's starting to melt together. All the stitch definition is gone. So I reknitted the whole thing. I did cut out the double knitted button band because it already have the mohair in it, and I think if I add a strand of mohair throughout the whole body, it will balance out. It won't look as light and heavy or heavy or light. So so I use the color Moody Pumpkin from Woolberry Fiber Co. And I only have one skein of that yarn, which is 50 gram skein. Anyway, so I play a very serious case of yarn chicken. I did run out of the yarn. So this is the second knit. I didn't block it yet because I'm just moved to Edmonton maybe sometime last month. So I'm still waiting for some of the items delivered to my house, like towels and stuff for blocking. Anyhow, so I hold the one strand of New Tiden with the one strand of mohair, and as you can see, the whole thing is very balanced now. If you look at the old one, this is the old one. You can see it's very drapey. It doesn't have much structure, and this one have a lot more structure. And it's a very great fit right now because I did decrease the number of stitches. So usually petite pattern is a little too big for me, even in the smallest size. But yeah, so I hold a strand of mohair throughout even the sleeve. So it's good that we can't tell that much of a difference right now, but if I point it out, you might be able to see it. So I finish up the body verse because I want the color to be not so variegated. I know I don't have enough of the Moody Pumpkin mohair from Woolberry Fiber Co. So I save the sleeve as the very last thing. Usually I knit the sleeve first and then the body so I can use up as much yarn as possible. But in this case, I think you can see this part, the front part, and there is the little division part, and then there is the other part over here. So I knit until here. I knit two sleeves together usually because I have second sleeve syndrome big time. So if I knit it together, I have a feeling that it will be more balanced, like they will be doing the decreases in the same row. I'm just very OCD with like how things look balanced, so I think knitting two sleeves at the same time would be the easiest for me, at least. And it also give me a peace of mind that I know two sleeves would have the same width and the decreases throughout. Anyway, so this color over here on this side of the arm is actually a leftover mohair yarn from, I know it's from Viola and the Moon mohair. I couldn't remember the colorway. I think it's piping stovetop because I got all of the Viola mohair in this kind of winter Christmas season, I think very long time ago, at least like maybe 4 years ago. And I also took out the lace clover on the sleeve. Because that one strand of New to Den yarn version, I realized I use my like hand and arms a lot, and the little lace pattern of the clover actually always get caught on something. So I just kind of did a normal sleeve on it. And throughout this whole process of re-knitting the garment, if you have watched the episode before, you will know that I'm really trying to make something that I will wear this year. So I'm perfecting some of the smaller skill. For example, Italian bind off. I never understand how to do Italian bind off, but I do enjoy the look of it. So if you can see, this is my very first Italian bind off. So I do Italian bind off on the sleeve and also on the bottom ribbing of the body. So the next finished object that I have is I talked about it in the last video as well, that I want to knit a pair of socks a month. And I did that. I finished that pair of socks for March. And I used the Mito yarn. And it is 100% untreated, non-superwash blue face luster wool. The yardage is 425 yards per 100 gram. And it also comes with a mini, and this is the colorway. Can you see it? Okay, so this is the finished pair of sock. You know how I just mentioned I learned how to do Italian bind off? So it's kind of funny. I actually finished this pair of socks first before I reknitted the whole Fortune sweater. So I do have the 2 sock finish, and usually before I learn how to do Italian bind off, I do this kind of bind off. So what I did is I cast off 3 stitch with just normal tradition cast off. I increase 1 stitch, and then I cast off another 3, increase 1 stitch, and then so on and so forth. It does give you the stretch, however when you don't wear it, it looks very ugly. And the Italian bind off, it gives you the stretch and it looks really nice even if you don't wear it. Just leave it in your little sock box. So I really like it. It is a free pattern, so to speak. However, in Miss Evil Knits in her blog, you can find the pattern. It is a video recipe pattern. She doesn't have like a written pattern. The whole thing is she really wants people to have a pattern in their mind that they can knit wherever they want. You don't need to pull out any documents, which it takes me a few time to knit with her pattern, like the video pattern, to memorize it. But after I memorize it, like she said, I don't need to carry a pattern around, and it's very adaptable. It is a toed up construction, so you start with the magic cast on, and then you just knit throughout, and the rest of it I'm not going to talk too much about it. If you want to try it, please go learn it. It is very fun, and like she said, whenever you have something that is so intuitive in your mind, you feel very confident about knitting future pattern of the sock. Did add a cable that I kind of make up, so it's kind of like twisted yarn cable. So yeah, this is the design I came out with. It's not that difficult, it's very simple, but yeah, it's almost like a mock cable because I only keep doing 1 and 1 stitch crossover, and I call that a cable. I think people call it a mock cable. For the next part of the video, I would like to talk about my work in progress. So a few years back, I think at least 3 years probably, I knitted a sweater called the Dream Sweater. It's from, I think her name is Claudia from Uknit Toronto. If you go to Uknit Toronto, for sure you will find that pattern. So back in Toronto, I am a baker in an industrial setting. If you ever bake in an industrial setting before, you would know their tray baking tray is huge, and at that time I hurt my wrist. I couldn't just carry the tray with my wrist and hand like that. However, if I put the tray on my shoulder, I could carry it with one hand. Why I'm telling you this is back then I really liked that sweater. I used the yarn from the Fiber Co. I think it's the Lore color. No, sorry, the Lore line of yarn. And the color of that yarn is Staple, so it's like a oatmeal-y kind of color. I really, really love that yarn, and I've been wearing that sweater for a few years. You can't see much sign of wear on it. I never peeled it. I wear it quite a lot, especially back then in that bakery. The back of the kitchen where I usually work is pretty cold, so I always have that sweater on. It's warm, it's durable. I would totally recommend the yarn. However, the way I carry the tray means that the little black color metal particle was rubbing off on my shoulder, on the length of my arm, and also on my cuff. And I really miss that sweater, and I really want to make a sweater with the same pattern again. So I made this sweater. So like I said before, I usually finish both of the sleeve before I finish up with the body. And the pattern doesn't come with this kind of collar or the cuff. But I really want to try something new, so I learned Italian cast on. And I will show this to you. It looks really nice. It looks almost like a store-bought. And there is no color work on the pattern originally, and there's no it's called lateral braid. Yeah, I think it's lateral braid. So I add that detail on it. I really like doing special little something on the collar. It's almost like you're wearing a special necklace, but it's a part of your sweater. And I also did like a little loop on the back of the sweater. I keep noticing that I don't know which side is the back of the sweater, so I did a little something on it, so whenever I put it on, it will be easier. The yarn I used this time is not Lore, so I trying something new. I keep all the text so I can tell you guys how many balls of yarn I use in the end. And it is 100% wool. I really like woolly wool, especially on color work, because it just looks so nice together. It is 185 meter per ball, and each ball is it 50 gram or 100 gram? Each ball is 50 gram. So 50 gram, 180, probably DK or heavier. Anyway, so I use this yarn for the sweater. So far I used 3 ball, and I just started the 4th. So it gives you all this, and I did make it a size smaller than the one I did before. I don't remember the size. It's probably the smallest size, because before I usually knit in a medium size, and afterward I realized I don't wear this sweater as much as I like, and it doesn't look very put together if it doesn't fit you, so I did drop down a size. So I'm pretty sure this is small, extra small, but the smallest size that they have. Anyway, so the yarn itself so far, I really, really like it. It's soft, but rustic at the same time. It's almost like a dry soft, if it makes sense. And yeah, so this is what I did so far on this sweater. There is short roll construction on the sweater. It is like a yoke sweater, so you just increase throughout the knitting pattern. In between each of the colorwork section, there is an increase. So that's how it works. Oh yeah, and for the colorwork over here, there is a very huge gap of the strand that you need to carry. So I don't like having long strand at the back, and I don't know how to carry my strand of yarn at the back of the colorwork that is more than 7 stitches. So I kind of redraw the whole color work on a graph paper, and in between those very long strand I added, if you can see this little lines over here, those are the thing I added on to the color work. It doesn't come with it, so this little lines over there as well, just to carry my yarn. If I'm more professional in color work, I might have skipped it. But yeah, so I did some modification on the color work itself, those little lines you see here. The next project I'm working on is, of course, a pair of socks, because I want to do a pair of socks a month. And I am using Nutiden yarn. I usually order, whenever it's available, the Lucky Charm bag. It's like a little bag of Nutiden yarn that is 250 gram each bag, and it comes with a lot of plate when they change the color on the machine, so that's why you will see two color and it's gradient. So whenever I receive yarn like this, I really like to knit sock with it. And on most of the sock I usually use a 2.25 millimeter needle. However, Nutiden yarn is an unspun yarn, so I did go down a needle size. I am using a size 0.2 millimeter needle, and they are the interchangeable from ChiaoGoo. And like the sleeve, I like to knit two socks at the same time. I am using the Kura sock pattern again, but on the front of the foot, and I think on the cuff as well, I will do this broken rib pattern. That's all the work in progress right now. And for the next sweater, I know I could finish that dream sweater probably in another week or so. So I am planning to cast on something new. So I'll show you the yarn. So this is from Hedgehog Fiber. Yes, and it's in the colorway Pine. So this is mohair. It's really, really pretty. I really like green color, so it's like a white color with green, blue, some yellow speckle on it. It is a 50 gram skein, it's 420 meter. It is 70% kid mohair and 30% silk. Touching it, I don't feel a lot of difference in compared to the other mohair. I would say the softness is closer to Isager mohair, which is one of my favorite mohair. And yeah, I'm going to hold this yarn with a Nutiden yarn I got a while back. Sorry for the paperback sound. I couldn't remember how to pronounce this word, but how Caroline described it is like a glass color, and it have a mix of blue and yellow and a natural white fiber in it. So I will show you the yarn. If you ever receive a parcel of the Nutiden yarn, this is actually 300 gram. I know it's a very small box. Usually before I start knitting with the yarn, I like to open the bag, separate it, and let it sit for at least a few days. It will poof up again because they're cramping a lot of the fiber into that small bag to reduce the shipping costs. So when you receive the package, I would really recommend you to open the yarn, take out each of the little plate, and just let it sit for a few days in your room, and it will poof up. So when you knit it, it's a very different experience. I like it a lot more. But yeah, this is the colorway. So there's some blue, some yellow. It's pretty cloudy here today, so I'm not sure can you see it perfectly well. And I'm going to hold it with the mohair over here, the Hedgehog Fiber mohair. I think they really make a great pair. And the pattern I'm going to knit is the tulip sweater from Melody Hoffman. I'll put a picture over here so you guys can see it. And yeah, it have this like little scallop edge on it, but throughout the sweater it's just a very plain sweater, which I like because you can really see the color on the yarn. And on this part of the video, I'm going to talk about my acquisition. Not all of my acquisition is here yet, unfortunately. I did order the Dreaming Robot 6.1 electrical eel spinner, and it's on the way here. So it's not here yet. I think I ordered it last Monday-ish. Anyway, but I did have the Nano at Toronto back then. The Nano spinner is a very great introductory spinner for you to try to spin. I did encounter some problem with it, and the owner of the company actually make a lot of little tips and tricks video on YouTube, and I follow the video and I sand off the back and front of just like a little bit. I use like a very very fine grain of sandpaper to sand off the back and forth of the bobbin, and it does help with the uptake of the yarn because uptake of the fiber. Before I did that, I do have a very difficult time, especially while I'm plying my yarn. It just wouldn't take up the fiber, so the fiber that I spin up is very over twisted over time. But yeah, and the Nano is pretty small. However, back then I think I ordered 400 grams of fiber bats from Nutiden, and I still managed to spin up most of the fiber. I only have like a little bit left, I think maybe 25 grams left. Spinning the fiber with that small bobbin is okay, like the first spin is okay, but plying is very difficult because the bobbin is so small. After you do the single ply yarn and try to ply them back together, each of the two bobbin, I usually do 2 ply. 2 ply is the maximum ply I ever try. So if you put 2 of the bobbin on a lacy Kate and then you start plying it, it takes a lot of bobbin for you to ply up all that single strand of fiber. So I did, after I moved here, again, I didn't bring my spinner with me. That's why I plan to order a larger spinner. I did look for something else other than the electrical wheel. Unfortunately, I don't have a job right now. I am not in a financial position to order very, very fancy spinner. So I did wait for quite a while because the 6.1 electrical spinning wheel doesn't come back in stock till May. So during the last 2 weeks of April, I did something very silly. I'm so scared that it will sold out again. So every other day when I wake up, I will check, oh, is it back online yet? And thankfully, at the end of April, it did go back online, and that's why I purchased it right away. And since we have a spinning wheel, I did order some spinning fiber. So I ordered from Mito Yarn, and that's my second acquisition is spinning fiber. So it's very, very soft. This is 100% blue face luster wool. So Mito Yarn is really good at making non-superwash wool. That's why when I see that she have a Kara, I think is the owner, and when I saw that it's on Instagram, I know I have to order some fiber right away. There isn't a lot of each colorway, but I did order enough for them to ply together. So I ordered 2 of this colorway. So this 2, it is from a different dye lot, but since it's spinning fiber, I'm not too worried about it. I know I can take it apart, rearrange it to make all the dye lot, to make 2 different dye lot look more equal. Mito Yarn is actually a Vancouver, BC yarn, so it's a Canadian yarn. So I got 2 of this colorway. I don't know if I mentioned it before, it's Pinch Me. Yeah, I just really like purple and this very balanced purple pink. And I was going to ply with this color. Whoops. So this is the second colorway I got. It's called Peachland, and the one I just showed you is a blue face luster. This one is Coradel, And you can tell the difference. The Blueface Luster is a lot softer. This one is still really soft, but it's more like a rustic soft. Yeah, more like a rustic soft. On my computer, I thought this two color would, you know, be matchy kind of. But when it arrived, it's not how I expect it to be. But it's okay. I think I will just wait for the next shop update to order more fiber, or I can just order a single color fiber on any other website to match the peachy neutral kind of tone. I don't dislike this fiber though, don't get me wrong. I really like the color because there's green, and green, I don't know, I really like green color, especially that foresty green. So I know I will really like it. It's just not the perfect color to apply them together in. And then the next colorway that I got a little carried away. And it's this color. So it's green, of course, and it's like a minty green, and it's called Dew Grass. And I got 200 grams of these. And like the other set of yarn I just showed you, because I want to spin up a sweater quantity of yarn, so I did got one more colorway to go with it. And this is the last two spinning fiber I got. So it's this colorway. So this one is very well matched with Dew Grass. They have the same minty green color, so I'm sure when I apply them together, they would look very nice. And the variegation on this is really pretty too. Again, you can see dark green. I really like neutral greens, blue. So this one is Avocado Stone, and I'm going to spin this in one strand, this in another strand, and I'm going to apply it together so it will be less variegated. Yeah, so that's my plan, and that's all the acquisition. This year I am planning to buy less yarn, and I know I got a lot of fiber, but I think this is a good way for me to slow down on yarn purchases, because I know now that you know how when you first learn how to knit, you're like, oh, I can make all this knitting sweater. I guess it's the same feeling now that I have like a spinner and fiber. I feel like, oh, I can make all this yarn. So I think that would help me slow down my yarn acquisition. I think starting on the next video, I also want to do a little table, like a graphing table on how much yarn I actually use up. This year I know I can knit a lot because I don't have a job yet, and yeah, so I'll be knitting more than usual. So with that graph, I think I can determine how much yarn it makes sense to be actually owned, so I don't have this overwhelming stash of yarn. And don't think this is the only yarn I have. In those little cubby, there is small yarn. So this one is New Titan yarn. This one is just empty, and the other two is all skeins of yarn that I bought throughout this few years. But yeah, I think that's way too much, and I don't need that much. So again, by the graph, I can actually determine how much yarn I use up every year. And next time when I purchase yarn, I would rethink of what I actually need. That's probably the way to go. And that's all the fiber yarn knitting content. On the next part, I want to talk a little bit about my everyday life. So back then in Toronto, I do have a lot of greenery in my bedroom, and I really miss them. I found a plant place inside the mall near where I live. So I got a few plants. If you're interested, I can show them to you now. So the first one is this plant. I repotted it. It comes in a very tiny pot. And yeah, this one I think is the Turtle Vines. So yeah, it does come down with that little tiny small pot. I think I got it in a pot as small as this one, so it did trail a little downward. And I don't know, I just worry that because there's so much green over here, that means the root should be almost the equal amount. And when I pulled it out to repotted it, I do see a lot of root. So that's why I replanted over here. And the next one is a Hoya. And this is the Hoya plant. Again, it's pretty funny. It comes in a small pot like this, and like I said with the other one, it probably need more room for it to grow. So I repotted it. I did get soil mix specifically for Hoya, because Hoya is it's something very new to me, I should say. So I haven't grew any Hoya before this. And then the next one I got is Baby Tears. So back in Toronto, I have the same pot of, well, not same, but same species of plants, and I never know what they call. I think back then I just got it at Whole Food. Anyway, I really like this kind of trellising plants, so when I see it, there's only one pot left, I know I have to get it right away. It's just a little, I don't know, it gives me a sense of belonging in this very foreign place, I guess. So I got this one as well because this is the same plant I have in my bedroom back in Toronto. And the next one, I hang it up on my window, and it is String of Hearts. This plant, I got it from Etsy's, and it just come with a rooted string of heart, like that's the only part. It doesn't even come with the pot. I think they wrap it in tissue paper and saran wrap on the root part, and they just mail it to me. And this is how I repotted and, you know, put some little decorational moss on it. And it is a variegated string of hearts. So again, trellising plants, that's why I bought it. And on the same Etsy site, I think I will link it down below on the video, so if you're interested, you can also have a look in it. And yeah, that's the last one that I have at the moment. This is called String of Frogs. I think it also called mini oak leaf. Yeah, so it's actually very cute. It looks like miniature ivy. So I was looking for an ivy plant, however, they're also big, and I want, you know, to grow plants when they're babies so we can develop some connection here. So that's why I got something that is similar to ivy but a lot smaller. So that's all I did on the month of April, and thank you for watching, and maybe next month we can talk about something new. Because on the personal note, I just bought a lot of mason jar and stuff, and a pressure safe bottle. I am trying to make kombucha and sauerkraut, so maybe next month I will have something new to show you guys. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next month. Bye!